You asked for it, so here it is. This is going to be my starter guide for Farever. In this video, I'll go over classes, weapons, combat, progression, and exploration, along with some tips and tricks to help you on your adventures through Sigarda. Sigarda? I don't know how to say it. Let's go. So the first thing you're going to do to get started is create your character. Farever currently only has 4 classes: Warrior, Rogue, Mage, and Priest, with an emphasis on creating your own build based on gear and specializations later on. For now though, choose whichever class you think you'd enjoy or find interesting. Personally, I went with Rogue for my main character, as their entire moveset just seems to feel more active and skill-based. But maybe you want to take it a little easier, or have a little bit more self-sustaining abilities. Now on to customizing your look. Farever has a surprising character creator, with options for hair, eyes, mouth, nose, face shape, eyebrows, eye and hair color, facial hair. It honestly has a lot more than I thought it would. It surprised me the first time I played, as I was expecting a pretty simple character creator. Once you're done choosing your class and customizing your character, all that's left to do is name them and hit play. The first thing you're greeted with in the world is a nice exposition for the world of Sigarda and the events unfolding as we progress through the world. Then you're let loose onto the beach of Meridia, and immediately to your right is the first NPC that will give you a quest to cull some of the crabs skittering around. This is how questing is going to work throughout the game. Unlike most games, Farever's questing is done in an interesting way. Firstly, they're all called activities. You'll have regular activities, familiar to other games, where you talk to an NPC, they give you a task to do, and it's up to the player to figure out how to complete the task based off of the information that they're given. It gives that kind of old school MMO vibe where you actually have to read and understand where you are, what they want, and how to get it done. Alongside these though are different types of activities like jumping puzzles, collection quests, overworld mini bosses, and other activities. You'll notice that when you kill a monster or an enemy for the first time, a nameplate with a ratio will pop up on the right side of the screen. That's the codex. It's sort of like an adventurer's journal with a bestiary and an activity tracker. This is going to be your go-to place to figure out what quests you can do nearby, or even find what monsters drop certain materials. The more of the same monster you kill, the more you'll learn about the monster in the codex. There might even be an achievement for completing the bestiary section of the codex. Aside from that though, you'll find countless activities to interact with in the open world, including these jumping challenge chests. These chests will only open after acquiring the orbs spawned after the initial opening attempt. Starting off in the game, these chests are a good source for gear and loot, but further in, the real loot is earned through dungeons. Speaking of which, after exploring the beaches of Saprosit Point, is that how you say it? No idea. You'll find the very first dungeon of the game. There are 2 types of dungeons in the game currently. Normal dungeons, where you go from room to room, clearing out enemies, solving puzzles, all leading up to a boss in the final room. And then there's boss dungeons. These are for fighting a specific boss, mostly for gear or rewards, as the bosses can be pretty hard if under-geared or underprepared. My advice is to make sure you're at least close to leveling past the level requirement to enter the dungeon, as you might just level up during the dungeon, giving you back your HP and making it easier for you to clear mobs. Alongside that, make sure you have a full gear set at your level, or at least the best gear you can have at the moment. Early leveling is going to test your ability in combat, especially in the boss dungeons, so be sure to look through your gear. Speaking of combat, Farever has an interesting system when it comes to combat. It may look simple, but there is a good amount of depth in the current system. Firstly, you have your class skills. Class skills are defined by your class, and as you level up, you'll unlock more abilities and talent points to augment those abilities, making for some interesting specializations, interesting build variety, and overall more depth to the combat as you progress. Alongside the class skills, you have weapon skills, starting off with 2 active skills and a passive. That's usually how the weapons work, but some do only have 1 or even 3, from what I understand. Furthermore, you have a secondary slot called the arsenal for a secondary weapon of your choice, where you'll be able to select skills from that weapon specifically into your current loadout. Each weapon type has different abilities and passives, so really look at what you can do with those weapons, because it might just be the difference between clearing or wiping. Some weapon types are only available to certain classes as well, so that's going to be something to take into consideration before fully committing to a class. But of course, you can always make an alt. Farever does give you 4 character slots, so you could have 1 of each class. Aside from those abilities and skills, you also have some pretty decent and interesting combat mechanics and combat tech already in the basic combat. So first and foremost, you can click to basic attack. You could also click and hold to complete the combo. And if you learn the combat animations of the enemies, you'll be able to right click to block. If you perfect block, it decreases the damage dealt from the enemy by a lot. You can see he's only hitting me for -1 right now, but if I let him hit me, it's -9. Some people don't like blocking just because it will interfere with your combo timing, but if you don't mind that so much, it is a really good way to sustain a lot of damage coming in from mobs, especially when you get surrounded. If you don't perfect block, you still get mitigated damage, but it's not as much as a perfect block. So if you can, try to perfect block. Aside from that, you have a dash that you can use at any time in combat. It does have 2 charges though, so use them wisely, as when you do run out of charges, it will have 8-second cooldown. Aside from those mechanics, movement is a pretty big part of Farever. Right off the bat, you have a glider at your disposal. You can throw it out at any time when you're jumping, and some boss mechanics will want you to do this, so keep it in mind. Aside from that, Farever does have a mount system. Currently, you can collect a bunch of different mounts just from the game in general. And if you purchase the game during early access, you get a free mount from the shop that's honestly pretty cool. But the rest that are currently in the game are obtainable just through playing the game. Important thing to note though is that you cannot use mounts during combat, so as soon as I start combat, I can no longer press shift to mount up, but the combat state is only as active as long as you are actively in combat. Once you step out of combat or you finish off mob, you can go right back to hopping onto your mount, like this. Now, the reason I mentioned that Farever's questing systems are very different and interesting is because a lot of the quests and activities don't show up on the map immediately. You have to find them. So there's a big emphasis on exploration in general, which is probably why they give you so many options for movement, like the glider, mount, and even in some cases, these grapple things. Another reason you want to start exploring everywhere is these. There will be random chests laying around in the world, so go out and explore, because some of these chests can actually drop loot that you might want to use. Now, to keep the video short, I'm not going to go over what every class does, but if you guys would like an in-depth guide to each different class, I could definitely go into detail with that. But if I'm being completely honest, I haven't even tried out every single class. The most that I've tried out every single class is for the making of this video. But of course, I'll sink in the time if that's something you guys really want. So go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. Other than that, for the sake of not wanting to spoil anything that you might find out in the world, there isn't much else to say. The jumping puzzles aren't as hard as you think, so if you feel like you're getting stuck, just take a deep breath and try a different approach. I promise you, it's not as hard as you think. Someone who doesn't really like parkour in games, the jumping puzzles in Farever aren't as bad as some other games. I find them pretty fun. The game already has a lot to offer, and it's only going to get better in time. They already have so much planned for this year, so the game's only going to get bigger and better. But that doesn't mean you have to rush. Currently, there really is no reason to rush towards the end game other than gear grind. And unless you want to spend countless hours a day just trying to get a single piece of gear, it's not really worth it. Personally, I've been taking my time with each class and each character that I've been using just so I can get a feel and really take in what the world has to offer, which is a lot, by the way. Progression in the game is whatever you want it to be currently, as the level cap is only level 20, and every activity in the game will pretty much get you there within a couple days if you play sparsely. If you play all day one day, you could get there in one day. But even once you level cap, there's still so much to do in the game. Like if you wanted to, you could complete all the maps, you could collect all the collectibles, you could even go achievement hunting, as some achievements even give you rewards based on certain requirements. And if you're someone who was already turned off by the game because of the servers in the first week, the devs have already been working on it, and you can definitely tell the difference. The difference in the server stability is night and day. Some days I hop on, I have 0 issues. I've been able to invite my friends from Steam. I've been able to go into dungeons. I've been able to log in immediately when I first launched the game instead of waiting. So if you're still interested in the game, I'd recommend giving it a try, as it is already being given the love and care that it deserves. Sometimes you can use the glider to jump up walls you wouldn't be able to normally. And there's so many secrets in the game. Out in the overworld, you'll find these types of little fountain well things. Once you activate them, the respawn point will be activated, and if you die out on your adventures, you'll respawn right back to the closest one, so be sure to activate those once you see them. I'm not sure if this is an actual mechanic or just my luck, but overworld mini bosses don't drop gear unless it's your first time fighting them. So they can be good for XP early on, but once you've already fought them, there's a high chance that they won't drop any more gear for you. And aside from all that, I don't think there's anything else I can tell you about the game other than have fun. It's obvious that the developers have put a lot of love and effort into this game, so enjoy it. Explore the world and take it all in. And on that note, that's going to be the video. Hope all of this information can help you on your adventures. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Or maybe I'll see you in the game. Later.